What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sideline Summit. I'm Antonio Perez, joined as always by Danny Code, DCU Penn's finest, Chris Coach, CB Coach Boy. Glad to see everybody finally made it on time. This episode is last episode. Chris made a fashionably late appearance, and then Danny was almost late. We were about to start, but he popped in. For today, we got the X Factor for every single Eastern Conference playoff team or team in the playoff race, so including those playing guys. We're going to run through those 10 teams, not going to include the Bucks. It's over, Bucks fans. I'm sorry, but we won't be talking about you guys today after this point. But again, it could be a player, it could be someone's health, it could be any aspect of their team that'll be the deciding factor of whether they are going to be NBA champions or not, or whatever. However, their team is grading their success this year. But before we start any of that, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Audio listeners, leave a like, 5-star review. We really appreciate all the love you guys have been showing across all platforms. But without further ado, let's just get right into things. We're gonna go in order from Pistons all the way down all the way down to the Hornets. So let's start with the Pistons. I think that's the best place to start. Floor is open for whoever wants to take it.
Well, Cade's my nephew, so I guess I'll just have to start there. But I will say, I think the Pistons X factor, and it may sound funny, but I think it's gonna be translation. Right, I talked about it a while ago. Their defense translating, their toughness, all those things translating to the playoffs. I think that's the most important thing. I think people would say it's if they can find another ball handler or another scorer or another thing like that. I think the thing that counteracts that is them being tough, physical, and playing really good defense. So I think if that translates, they'll have a chance against 95% of teams in the East and maybe in the West as well. So for me, I think it's just translation. I think it's just them being able to take over that. I mean, carry over how they've been playing, keeping Isaiah Stewart and Duran and guys away from technical, so you're never missing any of your players. And just translating, I think one of the coolest things is Tobias Harris and Asar Thompson kind of sharing minutes at the 4 and 3, but like more at the 4, because Asar's been playing like maybe 26 minutes a game max. He's been very impactful. Tobias Harris, 30 minutes a game has been very impactful. So things like that and find a way to work in Ron Holland to get a rest for those guys. I think just translating what has worked for them in the regular season all the way around is going to be the biggest X factor for them.
Yeah, I agree, Chris. I think the Pistons legitimately they've shown they have it all. They can defend, they can score, they got the rebounding presence. They're obviously like a less souped up version of them bad boy Pistons back in the day. But the reality is, does it translate? We've seen it in the regular season. But we've seen the Rockets go win damn near 60 games in the regular season and get bounced in the first round. So
Yeah, I absolutely agree with both your guys' take. Translatability is going to be huge because they don't have that second ball handler like Chris mentioned. Uh, you know, Danny, you kind of mentioned, their defensive tenacity where they have, Stewart and Asar and, very small shades of the bad boy Pistons, even though I think you could combine all of their offensive skill sets together and it might match Cade's, probably not. But then again, you could match everybody's defensive prowess together and probably not going to equal Benoit's. But for me, my X factor, kind of similar to Chris, is because he mentioned one of these guys. Mine's Tobias Harris. Now, being a playoff team, having to rely on the scoring of Tobias Harris has a history of not working well. Ask Danny. But Tobias, I think, he's kind of one of the only other players on the team that can get his own shot. Do you want Tobias Harris kind of dribbling the ball like 10, 15 times, backing someone down and get into a long two or a mid-range shot? No, but those go a long way in the playoffs if he's able to shoot them effectively. Obviously, he's going to be there for the corner shooting and, just three-point shooting overall. It's going to be very important. But what Cade needs alongside of him right now is somebody that's able to create his own shot. I think in the postseason, when things slow down and possessions matter a little bit more, I think you're willing to dish it off to Tobias Harris because he's shown he's able to get his off the dribble. Would prefer him to maybe get to the paint a little bit more. Obviously, this is what Tobias Harris is going to be, but like Tobias Harris could win or lose them a series. If they get in a second round series with the Cavs and Cade's giving it his all, but let's say they get a smooth, 18 points per game, like completely unassisted from Tobias Harris, that would be huge. So that's going to be my X factor. Kind of all in the
I love
same
that, man.
ballpark there.
It's a player who has a lot to prove.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think
And
yeah. No, go ahead, Tom. Go ahead.
no. I was literally just agreeing. Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, yeah, I agree, and that's why I was saying too. You could have went ahead because I agree too. I think it's just we'll see it at a different number as far as money. So him making $35 million a year and he didn't perform, it's like what the. But him as like a guy where he's making 15 to 18 and he gives you 15 to 18, it'll look so much better. It won't look like he's disappointed. It'll look like he'll be, oh my God, the surprise of Tobias Harris.
Isn't he making like 28 though?
I thought he's making 15, 18 or 18. He's making 18. Right?
No, Tobias is
I think it's 18.
well,
if I'm
I don't
wrong,
have his contract on hand. Tobias Harris this season averages 13 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal
26
on 45, 33, and 86 splits. So the 3-ball hasn't been as good as I thought it was. But at least over the last 2 games, he's been putting the ball in the basket, which is, I guess, better late than never. So he could be very critical.
How much what's his contract at?
It's 2 years, 52 million, so 26 a year. But I think
he's on the last year.
I think he was getting 40. I believe so.
Yeah.
He was getting 40 in Philly though.
Well, I'll say besides the overpay, the real big issue was a 5-year deal. 5-year deal.
Yeah,
crazy.
When it's who they gave
that in that first half season with Philly. Like he was cool, he was good. But that was.
Well, it's who they just needed to deal over is the issue. And they got Josh Richardson back for Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, true. Yeah, respect by Demon, by the way. Was a very good
I respect Josh Richardson. He was a very average basketball player.
That's an above average basketball player right there. I don't know. I don't know if I could pinpoint who is what is an average NBA player. Like, sure, you could look to someone who made no All-Stars. Are we calling CJ McCollum an average NBA player? Absolutely not.
I feel like Mario Chalmers is the average NBA player.
No, I got one.
Does the average NBA player win a champion? Of course, there are end of the bench guys who win it. He was the starting point guard on a championship team.
He average NBA player is Moses Moody. He's your average NBA player. Average size.
Yep. I think it's a great take.
Average size, pretty above average shooter, can attack the rim at an average level. Like he's just an average guy. You want him on your team like a 7-man, or 7th or 8th. But if he has to start, it's like
yeah, like Mario Chalmers being the starting point guard on a LeBron James led team. I think that automatically puts him above average.
I think Moody is an average guy because it's like if he's a spot, if he was the starter for the Luka Lakers when they revamp or whatever, he's like your starter, but he's like a 4th or 5th option. You're great with that. But if he's like starting, he's like your 3rd guy. It's like we can upgrade.
Moses Moody 3rd option hoops with the first pick in the NBA draft.
Chicago Bulls be selecting Patrick Williams.
Let's move on to things that. Or go ahead, Danny.
All things green come true. He's coming back tomorrow night, rolling it straight to you, Mr. Boston.
I mean, the Celtics. The great thing about the Celtics is you could probably say like 5 or 6 different dudes could be the X factor. How will Kata translate to the playoffs without his lack of a jump shot? How is Vucevic going to look when in a playoff series where he may be scoped out against? My personal pick for it was Jordan Walsh. Obviously, like Peyton Pritchard has been our X factor for Lord knows how many years, but I picked Jordan Walsh. Jordan Walsh's defense is going to translate very easily. He's had a little bit of foul trouble, which kind of led him to a little bit less minutes. However, he's going to be one of the guys that there are going to be just Jason Tatum minutes. There's going to be no Jaylen Brown. There might be no Derek White. It's just going to be Jason Tatum on the floor. You're going to surround him with obviously a lob threat, probably like Kata. Probably going to surround him with Pritchard and Hauser. Those two love playing off of Jason Tatum. And then you're going to need some defense because you're going to have Hauser and Pritchard on the floor. I'll assume Tatum will be... Look, he ain't coming back moving like Boogie Cousins. I'm going to assume he's coming back looking like at least a decent defender. You're going to need somebody who can still go out there. Who's going to go out there and guard OG? Who's going to go out there and guard in their potential first round series, who's going to guard Paolo Banchero, who's going to guard Franz, who's going to guard, Norman Powell or Andrew Wiggins, whatever it may be. That's where Jordan Walsh could be called upon. And all of that is going to translate, but he has to be able to hit his shots. The 3-point, we've had games where like, oh my gosh, Brad Stevens, you have done it again. Joe Mazzulla, you make something out of nothing every single time. And then we have times where it's visible why Baylor Shireman gets the minutes over him. So I think it's very important for Jordan Walsh too, in the times where he is relied upon to play with Jason Tatum, or I guess I can say Derek White to an extent too, guys who are going to be the mainstay of a driving kick offense. He's got to stay ready.
Yeah, I love that. I think Jordan Walsh.
Sorry, that was way too big of a ramble. My bad.
You're the fan here. It's like Chris rambling on about LeBron James.
And I love Jordan Walsh. You know I'm a big Jordan Walsh fan, so I'm down.
Jordan Walsh is such a beast, man.
The Kobe disciple comes back. I don't think he's the X factor, though. I think the X factor is the person who's been there all year, and it's not Jaylen Brown. It's Joe Mazzulla.
I'm interested to hear this one.
I think Joe Mazzulla is the X factor, and the way that he deploys lineups and is able to elevate the team overall in the playoffs is the reason why I think he is the true X factor for the Celtics. Because look, he took this team without Jason Tatum to the 2 seed. So what can he do when you put Tatum back in the lineup? I think the way that Mazzulla deploys lineups moving forward with Keita, with Vucevic, with all these wings that obviously are younger and can go run up and down the floor, it's going to be really fun to see.
I think it's a very valid take, because you add Jason Tatum. Now you have to, now it's like, where do Jordan Walsh's minutes come in? Where do Baylor Shireman's minutes come in? Hugo Gonzalez, his minutes were already spotty. What do his minutes look like? So, yeah,
I think Tatum said something like that. He was like, yeah, I don't want to mess up what they already got going.
I'm like, dude, you are the most portable player in the entire National Basketball Association.
You're like,
will you please relax?
Shut up. Please shut up. Go. Like
bro,
shut up and dribble, bro. Like, shut up and put the ball in the hoop.
All right, that's great. Okay, moving on. Chris, who's the X factor for the Boston Celtics?
I really like Danny's take about Mazzulla. That was one of mine. So I really like that one. I think that's really, really valid. But I'm gonna say Jason Tatum though, and it's not because is it gonna be his team or not? That's what every idiot on the internet is saying. It's just the simple fact of redeploying a player of that much importance to your team. It's going to change things. Even if you don't want to, I get the PR answer. I'm not going to mess it up. You're a top 5 player on the planet. You're going to mess it up because they're going to mess it up for you, in the sense of they're going to want you to get back into the rhythm of a game. This comes from a player who's come back from injury, myself, and knowing how people going to try to force feed you the ball, try to get you easy attempts, try to get you back into the flow. It's just going to be different than it has been all year. And that's a good thing. It's a good problem to have, to Danny's point. Having a Jason Tatum to put into those lineups, that changes things in a good way. Now you don't have to play certain players if you don't want to, or if they're not rolling, you don't have to keep with them. So I think he's going to be the most important part just because of his stature. He's a 6'10" switchable forward at the very least. You know what I mean? Even if he doesn't come back efficiently as far as scoring, he's still 6'10" who can put the ball on the floor, do everything with the ball in his hands. So it changes everything in a good way. It gets more open looks for Derek White, more open looks for Peyton Pritchard. Sam Hauser, when he's on the floor, is going to see way less people now because now you got to deal with JB and JT. So I think it's a good problem to have. I think JT coming back is the X factor because just of how his gravity as a basketball player is going to change how the team plays.
Absolutely agree. And it's a good time to come back. They are March and April basketball is, people talk about the dead part of the NBA and they bring up December and January. Hey, not me at all. I like that portion of the season. March and April, you start to see like guys, I promise y'all are going to see like the, I don't want to say a team, like not too much on them, but like we're going to see the Kings. They're going to roll out all their young guys. They're going to look decent for the last month and a half. Granted, they've been fun recently. Not great, but they've been fun. Like people are like, oh, what about, going into next year? This is one of those times where it's like dudes are we're just trying to stay healthy for the playoffs. We're not necessarily, caring over 4 and 5 seed. You'll find a lot of things like that. So this is the perfect time to, yep, brother, go shoot 40% from the field. Go get your shot back. So I absolutely agree. Let's move on to the Knicks. This is going to be a very fun one. Who would like to start us off with New York?
I like Chris started off.
Let's run it.
I know it's a couple of things, and I hate I hate making it boring, but my X factor is Mike Brown, and I think it's valid. So hear me out. His whole thing this year has been playing, getting more rest for players in game, taking Jalen Brunson off the ball, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that sounds cool to the playoffs. And it's like, even though I'm a Jalen Brunson hater, it's known to be, he's effective. And he's effective with the ball in his hands. He's effective when he's controlling the game. And I think he's going to have to lean on what's effective and not what's got him there. And I know it's going to sound crazy, but I know they could have probably been a better team had they cut the rotation to 8 more times than playing 11 or 12 guys. So I think it's going to be Mike Brown and leaning on the players more, leaning on them being playing 36 to 40, 42 minutes a game in the playoff series every game for your top 7 to 8 guys. So I'll leave it with that because I know it's a bunch of players I could have picked. But I think how Mike Brown massages those minutes in a negative way for bench players, I think that's going to be most important. You got to have Josh Hart out there for 40 minutes so he can get a rhythm. You got to have Mikal Bridges out there for a good amount of time so he can get a rhythm shooting the ball, playing defense and getting up and down. I think this is going to be important. Now, OG's been a little in and out with health, so maybe you play him the least. But I think the way that Mike Brown massages those minutes and leans on those core players is going to be the biggest X factor for the Knicks. Because we know they can compete with anybody when their best 5 is on the floor. But how long is he going to keep that best 5 on the floor? That's my thing.
Absolutely agree. Yeah, you mentioned like how Mike Brown is a guy who really likes to stretch deep into his lineup. Like you said, they got that good 8. And that leads me into my X factor. Mine is Mohamed Diawara. So he was someone he was coming out very strong, like right before the All-Star break, right before trade deadline. And obviously McBride got hurt, but they have their 8, But it's like, if we could bring this to 9, because it's very important to realize in the playoffs, the Celtics did this to oblivion. Not that Diawara is, much better of a free throw shooter. That's not really my point, but like Mitchell Robinson can be playable or unplayable depending on the playoff series. Karl Anthony Towns is, while he gives you such a great offensive punch, his defense has been lackluster, to say the least. So I think Diawara being able to give them a spark, like 12 minutes. If you give me 12 minutes of solid rim protection, and then that way maybe we can put Cat at the 4 in some of these situations, maybe run a bigger lineup with OG, Mikal Brunson. Now you're surrounding, it's still going to be Cat and Brunson on the floor. And I guess also in these minutes, you could run Diawara with OG, Mikal, Brunson, and if you want to get real defensive, throw Sohan out there. But I'm just making things up as we go. So that would be mine. I think Diawara could be very important to a Knicks playoff run if he could just give them a smooth, like 12 good minutes.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
They're one of my favorite players to watch recently.
And for the New York Knicks, for me, I think their X factor, and it's someone who really over the past 2 playoff runs has proven his X factorness, and it's Josh Hart. I think that they only go as far as Josh Hart hustles, shoots the 3 ball, and is on the floor for. He plays 35 to 45 minutes a game, and if he's knocking down his threes and making them, they looked unbeatable. They were up by 30 points against the Sixers in that series. They looked like they were just about to run away with games. But then he looks unplayable in other moments. The problem is, which Josh Hart are you getting? Are you getting the one that looks unplayable and can't shoot? Or are you getting the one that's a defensive stud, rebounding, and also making threes on the other end? So I think that's what you need to find out. I don't want to say fuck around and find out.
I can tell you right now, you're getting Demon Josh Hart, Villanova tournament Josh Hart, if you will. Trust.
It's only fitting with the tournament on the way itself. But let's keep things pushing. Let's go to the Cavs, who obviously have the newly acquired James Harden. They've been on a roll with him on the team. Danny, let's kick it. Let's stay with you. Who will be the X factor for Cleveland in the playoffs?
I think it's pretty simple and clear. The X factor for the Cleveland Cavaliers is none other than James Harden. They made the deal at the deadline to go get James Harden. They traded Darius Garland, and they said, look, Harden, we know what we got in Donovan Mitchell. We know what we got in Evan Mobley. How can you slot in and become and elevate our team? When I talk about an X factor, I'm talking about someone who either elevates the team or changes the game script. So for me, James Harden can make the three ball. He can distribute. He can play that role that like LeBron plays on the Lakers right now, where he's playing the unk role that can just distribute. And that's what James Harden brings to the Cavaliers. If you get him to play a little bit of defense, which he shows he can, when he gives a little effort, he can play a little defense. This Cavs team's dangerous, and they just beat the Pistons, so I think it's pretty clear that they can go beat any team in the NBA.
I think it's a fair pick. I think a lot of people shy away from picking the stars and superstars as X factors, but I think it's very valid. James Harden is like the main reason, the Cavs aren't going to do anything. They're not going to say it's because Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is one of like historically the best playoff scorers ever.
Yeah,
definitely the best of the 2020s.
Dude, but if the Cavs don't get hurt last year, the Cavs might go win the NBA Finals.
I mean, guys were out there. The guys
were out there.
The guys were out there. The Halliburton disagreed.
All I know was their whole heart wasn't in it. Just a piece of it was.
Right. Chris, who's the X factor for the Cavs in the playoffs this year?
Wasn't Aisha enough? Love getting. Anyway, I think I kind of have two, but it's hard to pick. It's hard to choose one, like Future would say. Wow, I just had two elite references back to back. Shout out to me. But I'm gonna choose. I'm gonna say both: Jalen Tyson and Jared Allen. I think they're both double as important as X factors, because with James Harden and without Evan Mobley, Jared Allen been really good. With Evan Mobley and James Harden, the lights might be too bright. Just like Jared Allen said himself a couple years ago, the lights may be too bright, and that scares me.
Turn them off.
That's what I'm saying. Turn off that light. Like Buzz Bunny said at the end, it's just like, bro, it just scares me how he can just disappear in the series with how important he is in some games. He'll just not stop rebounding, but he won't get rebounds. He won't finish at the rim. And those are things that the Cavs are going to need, because most teams can't play two bigs to combat that, like, successfully, or it's not natural for them to do so. So Jared Allen is such an X factor for them being on the court, because he literally is the other big that opens up the game. Now you can run double pick and roll. You can stick Evan Mobley into the dunker spot, and now you give James Harden a whole nother option. You give Don Mitchell a whole nother option there, and I think that's so important. And the reason I said Jalen Tyson, the Cavs have been looking for a 3 for a while. They tried Okoro, tried DeAndre Hunter. Strus has been out all year. Jalen Tyson has been like a mix of all three of those, like the good from all three of those. And he's been missing minutes because, they're back fully healthy, so he hasn't been playing as much. I think he can be such a huge difference maker in the series, because he showed you can score 30 if allowed. If given enough open shots and enough touches, he can. And if it's anybody you're going to leave on the court against the Cavs, it's either Jared Allen or it's going to be that 3 spot. So I think those two are the most important to any series they're in, because, again, like I said, most teams can't play two bigs comfortably. And them being able to changes the game, changes the makeup of the game. And then Jalen Tyson has just been good in spots all year. Can he be good in spots in the playoffs when you need him? So,
yeah, brother of NFL draft legend Jordan Tyson. Both sons of Michael Tyson.
Such a Raven, Jordan Tyson. They said he slipped in the draft because of physicals. Do I see a second round?
Chris, he's Mekhi Lemon's a Raven in the first round, brother.
Let's please stay on topic, guys.
Listen.
But Tyson was also my X factor for the Cavaliers, so I don't have too much to add on there.
Sorry.
No. I mean, look, what am I going to do? Sit here for 5 minutes and repeat everything you said? I mean, so no, that you make my job a lot easier. We'll put it that way. Let's move on to the Toronto Raptors. This should be a fun one. Here, I'll start with this one since I basically added nothing to the Cavaliers conversation. Kind of stealing the play out of Chris's book when we were talking last week about potential playoff series. RJ Barrett is going to be my X factor. I think that when we're talking about guys, we kind of don't mention this about the Raptors because they are a bit of a they're not as good as the Pistons, so we're not exactly too worried about their second ball handler. IQ has been fine. He's playing a little bit better recently, maybe since like the start to like midway through February. He's starting to play a lot more decent, but he's still a little bit erratic, still kind of inefficient to be your second ball handler outside of, or I guess your second primary scorer outside of Brandon Ingram. Scotty Barnes is not exactly known as someone who's going to get it off the dribble. He provides great rim penetration. He's going to get the defense to collapse, but there has to be someone else who can also provide a little bit of what Brandon Ingram can do at his size. I think that's where RJ Barrett comes in. Like Chris was mentioning, you got to go punish mismatches. You have to be able to hit your shots when it's called upon. And as possessions slow down and whatnot, and things get methodical, yeah, we need you to be able to beat defenders off the dribble and whatnot. So I'm gonna go with RJ.
I like that. RJ Barrett, very important player. I think this team, they're very dynamic. They can do a lot. They have a lot of pieces that can do different things, and for that reason, I think one of the players that has a very specific role because they got a lot of guard play on this team. I think for me, Colin Murray Boyles is the person that I think is really important for this team's success. He's averaging like 25 minutes a game. And he's not going to be thrown out of this rotation in the playoffs. He's an important piece. The reality is when Scotty Barnes comes off the floor, or even playing with Scotty, his impact to the game is going to be critical because you know what you're getting from IQ, you know what you're getting from RJ Barrett, and you know what you're getting from Scotty Barnes. But you need to figure out these other two pieces. And I think Boyles has the ability to go kind of fill in these pieces and maybe even elevate and be a kind of mainstay in the playoff rotation, potentially as a starter.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the way Jakob Poeltl has looked after his back injuries, it's going to come down to him and Mamu. So, yeah, I mean, CMB, I've been a fan of his all year. I think that's a great take, Danny. I think that's a good one. Chris, I'm wondering to see if you agree with maybe what Danny said, or maybe you're heading in a different direction on this one.
I do agree with Colin Murray Boyles being expected, but I think it's a bigger one. And I'll say Brandon Ingram. And the reason I say Brandon Ingram, I know he's the star of the team. Second star. Scotty's the superstar, in my opinion. But it's the way Brandon Ingram gets his buckets, right? It's usually easy going in the mid-range, all those things. And being dependent on as a number one scorer, one thing defenses are going to do, especially a defense like if they get to the Pistons or a Celtics defense, they're going to take away what you do best. Will Brandon Ingram be able to adjust? Because, yeah, you can go to RJ Barrett as another person who could put pressure on the rim, all those things. I'm with you. But will Ingram be able to get 20 to 25 points a game in a playoff series where he's focused on his number one option? He's game plan for weeks. For a week. He's game plan for game after game after game. And I'm not saying he can't, but he just hasn't proven so because he hasn't had to. So that's my thing. I think with the light being on him to be the number one guy, he's the one who I think has to show up. Because Scotty's going to give you a good floor game, but I'm not going to say I can depend on Scotty to give me 20, 25 points a game. Maybe, but I know he's going to give me good floor game. I know RJ Barrett's going to put pressure on him. I know IQ is going to give me spot scoring and maybe get hot for a second and maybe win me the game. But I need Brandon Ingram's consistency. That's the only thing I think if he can be consistent, they can be a really tough out. If he can't be consistent, they'll be out in the first round within 5 games. I think it's that dire for them. So I'll put Brandon Ingram as my expected. I
can see that. And I mean, we've seen him make tough shots in the playoffs before.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like it's like something that he's unaware of or unable to do. So I agree with that.
So that's Brandon Ingram was in the playoffs. Questions for later. Sorry.
With Zion, right?
I think it's
Didn't
that
they play-
fails that
Couple
one
years
that
ago.
was the fails, right? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when Zion
Let's move
pulled
to the
his hammy,
76ers. Yes, yeah. Let's move to the 76ers. Danny, we'll let you have the floor first.
I think the really easy answer and default answer is to say Joel Embiid. But I'm not going to go Joel Embiid because I think if he's healthy and playing, like obviously that's a question mark. It's not like it's going to be an X factor. It's more of a question mark than an X factor. Is Embiid healthy and going to be playing 35 minutes a game? The reality for me is, can the Sixers receive consistent guard play from Maxey and Edgecombe when the rotation shrinks and they have to play 35 to 40 minutes a game? Maxey has games where he goes and drops 11 points and shoots 11 from 32, 11 and 32 from the field, and he just chucking up shots. But he also has games where he's really efficient and making 8 of like 15 threes. So receiving consistent guard play with efficient scoring, I think is the Sixers' X factor. Because look, beyond Maxey and Edgecombe, they don't have guards. They just signed Terry Johnson off the streets from Europe. Can't campaign. So I love campaign, but the reality is you need consistent guard play in order to win in a playoff basketball game. I think that's the state of the NBA that we're in. So I would say Maxey and Edgecombe providing consistent guard play is my spiel on the Sixers.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I personally wouldn't question Maxey. I think he's delivered in the playoffs. He already plays 38 minutes a game. I think he leads the league in minutes per game. That's due to Joel being out so often early on, and kind of as of late. But this seems more like just regular role load management. I would go Adem Bona and Andre Drummond because look, we know Joel Embiid is not always the healthiest around this time of year. Even if he is healthy, he can't play 48 minutes. We know that's not good for him. In 12 to 13 minutes when he's off the court, can you just not be a negative net 13? Can y'all look like the smallest resemblance of a basketball team when the center out there is not Joel Embiid? That's my X factor. Andre Drummond has added that corner three to his game, whatever that efficiency may be. It's going to help with the offense because in years past, like the big who's coming in to replace him can't shoot. How can Dominic Barlow look in spot minutes at the 5? Maybe that's their answer with Joel Embiid off the court. So that's how I go. The bigs need to look alive in the non-Joel Embiid minutes. You've seen what an elite backup big can do for a guy. The Nuggets, I think, are his danger. I think I have the most hope in them winning a championship, even more than like during their championship run. Like once they played the Heat, I knew they were going to win. But this is the most hope during the regular season I've had that the Nuggets will win a title because when Nikola Jokic is off the court, it's not like over. Like Jonas Valanciunas is a starting NBA center. He just happened to say, I wanted to go back up Nikola Jokic. I need Andre Drummond and Adem Bona and potentially Dominic Barlow to like collect themselves when Joel Embiid is off the court and be able to keep this thing relatively afloat. It can't be 20-point swings. We're done with that. We are done with that. That we can't be doing that anymore. So that's my X factor.
Yeah, I mean, I love Bona. I think he elevates the team when he's on the floor. That's crazy, Chris. Don't give me those eyes after I said that.
Ooh, wow. Okay. Chris, who's the X factor for the Philadelphia?
Just because I said I love Bona and he elevates the team.
That's what got me.
Who is the team in this situation? Who is the team?
I didn't say he elevates me.
But this is so funny.
He's elevating the team. He's elevating the team, that's for sure.
It'll be quick because I think the X factor is Edgecombe, and the reason why, being a rookie, being dependent on as much as he's going to be dependent on, it's just a lot of pressure. Not saying he hasn't delivered in high pressure moments already. It's just playoffs are different animals, similar to what I said about Brandon Ingram. You got to be ready to, be zeroed in on as a player and focused on. Like it's been like kind of cool, like kind of flowing through. Like while Embiid was healthy, he was the third guy. Get his cool points. Look at VJ Edgecombe. Playoffs, it won't be that. It'll be we have to shut this guy down because he's one of the 2 or 3 athletes on the team that play consistent minutes. He's the one who can be a spark plug. So I just want to see if he can be consistent. So Edgecombe's my X factor.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. Shall we move on to the Magic? I'm gonna be honest, are probably like the team the last team we give like a true opinion on. I guess probably like the Hornets we could give a real opinion on, but like I'm gonna be honest, like the Hawks and the Heat, like we'll talk about them for a little. Let's just get to the Magic first. Let's talk about the Magic. I can go first. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Orlando Magic, my X factor out. Look, the easy one is just like, can Franz and Paolo just be healthy, please? Or you just say shooting. I'm gonna dial down the shooting to 2 specific guys who I know their minutes will not be cut no matter what. So I need you to put the ball in the basket. That's gonna be Anthony Black and to a bigger extent Jalen Suggs. The defensive upside when these two are on the court together is as good as any defensive backcourt in the entire NBA. Like these 2 dudes are menaces on defense. But there are games where like Anthony Black's not going to make his threes all the time. He's getting better. He's definitely more of a threat on offense than he's ever been, and I'm very happy for him. But he's, like Chris said a couple episodes, he's not a lights out shooter. And Jalen Suggs is just a flat out bad shooter. He had that one outlier year. He's just not been the same since. So these guys need to be able to step up when being called upon. Like we mentioned a couple episodes ago, this offense will thrive. Paolo will thrive when he gets a lane that he can punish. They always say, he settles for these mid-ranges. Well, I'm sorry that no one wants to go guard Anthony Black. And yes, we're going to double team you. You're not getting to the rim. You're not getting your 6'10", 240-pound, whatever you are. You're not just getting to the rim at will. But as of lately, he hasn't cared. So, he's getting to the rim, and how he finishes is how he finishes. So that's my X factor. I need those 2 guys to start shooting better.
Yeah.
Floor is open to anybody else, but I don't know if anybody has too different of an answer. Mo Wagner.
Here's the thing. For me, it is Mo Wagner, and it's almost the reason that it's I'm not even just Mo Wagner. It's Franz. It's the way Franz, Mo, and Paolo can play on the floor together. Like you said. So like they are not ideal running mates. Can you figure out a way for them to be running mates? And last time we saw them in the playoffs, I'm thinking about an exact moment when I think Franz took a 3, or he took a mid. There was a play where like one of them was wide open for a 3, and someone settled for a double team mid range. That's the state of the Orlando Magic.
I love the guy.
You need to avoid
I'm gonna go with Paolo took that.
Yeah, Paolo took it. But, like, here's the thing. I don't blame Paolo for taking it. You know why? I'm not kicking to Franz Wagner to hit a 3.
In the Celtics series, Franz shooting was he had the yips pretty bad. Paolo was a tank in that series, I won't lie.
Dude, Paolo Banchero looked like he was a LeBron disciple in that series.
Yes. I think, actually, he was probably the best defender of Jason Tatum in that series. Take it with a grain of salt. He averaged 30 in that series, but hey, he was physical with him. Sometimes you just got to throw someone with a similar build at a dude. But yeah. Great take, Danny. Rare. No, I'm playing. Chris, who's the X factor for your pseudo Orlando Magic?
I'm still there. They got to punt Jalen Suggs and Lou Dort to the same part of the NFL, and I'll be straight. My X factor is Wendell Carter Jr. And the reason why, he's the best center on this team, but he's probably the 25th best starting center in the NBA. And I think he's going to have to be a lot more impactful than that. his 10-10, that ain't gonna get it done. That ain't gonna be enough because he's gonna be on the floor a lot. Him and Mo are gonna share the center minutes, but I feel like they're gonna play Wendell more because he's been in more from what I've seen. And I think Wendell's gonna be the biggest X factor. He's just gotta be more impactful. Whether that's he's more impactful on defense, he's more impactful rebounding, he's gotta have more impact. He just can't be on the floor for 35 minutes and come up with the same dry stat line on 5 for 11 shooting as a big man. It just is not enough. So I think he's my X factor for sure.
Yeah, if anybody has qualms about how Angel Reese plays basketball, it could be worse. She could be her boyfriend. Another WNBA player who's the best player in their relationship.
Hey, leave that Heat player alone. He's a good player.
H2's on the way, baby.
Well, let's talk about potentially that Heat player, even though I won't. I mean, I'm sure he's nobody's X factor. He's the only dude with a pulse over there. One of the only like 2 or 3 guys with a pulse in Miami. I won't spend too much time on this one. I just think it's Khalil Ware, and how is Eric Spoelstra going to be able to use him in their 1 or 2 play-in games, or if they make it, how is he going to use him against the Detroit Pistons or wherever they end up playing? There's been rough minutes where he's getting, not getting the minutes I think he personally deserves as a talent, but it comes down to discipline things. I'm not going to question Eric Spoelstra. He's one of the best coaches of the modern era. But it would be really beneficial if you could find him like real good playoff minutes with Bam, and alongside those other, really good scorers like Norman Powell and Tyler Hero. A lot going on in Miami.
Yeah, for sure. There's so much going on in Miami. I have nothing to add there. I think Khalil Ware is also the X factor. They're not, the Miami Heat aren't going anywhere this year. They're not making that magical 8 seed run, beating the Bucks, and they're not doing that again.
Jimmy buyout. Jimmy didn't tear his ACL, actually. He just hurt it really, really bad. And yeah, they were on the table.
Chris, you have anything in Miami Heat? Not much. Not a fun team to talk about.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same as Tone. It's Khalil Ware for sure. And I think it's more so because no matter what Spoelstra wants to do, he's going to need Khalil Ware if they're going to get out the play-in and, make any noise in any series. So it's going to be how Khalil Ware handles it, being as needed as he's going to be needed, in my opinion, from being treated like a lapdog in the regular season. So it's going to be just on his mental and how he, takes the role he's going to have to take if they want to, be any type of successful. So just more his mental and how he goes.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, again, them and the Hawks, it's not going to take too long. But the Hornets are a fun one because they get into this dance. Listen. They've been the best team in basketball over the past 2 months. I don't think that's a hot take. I think it's probably like them and the Spurs. They have been truly incredible. This has been so fun. Chris, I'll let you start since we kind of all had, or if either one of you want to start, I'm just passing the rock. That's all.
Yeah, you can go ahead, Danny. Hornets are my guys. You can go ahead, Danny.
I do love the Hornets as well. And I think their X factor is pretty clear and evident. It's the same reason that you said for the Philadelphia 76ers. It is none other than Rookie of the Year, Colin Kneppel. Like you said, Chris, there is not many times where a rookie is depended on to be one of the primary scorers and be this impact player on a team that could make a playoff run. And now you have a player who shoots 3-ball efficiently, can plug and play with any lineup on the Hornets. With that in mind, Khan either takes his team to the Eastern Conference Finals or is a first-round exit.
Yeah, and we'll get into those ceilings and floors another day. But yeah, I think that's a good take, Danny. Chris, do you want me to save the floor for you last? Because again, they're your pseudo Hornets.
I know I got 4 pseudo teams, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. I think if you like 2 or more players on a team, you can kind of have a little investment, but they win a championship, don't be there. Be happy for a guy, right? Like Danny does with Jalen Hurts.
Chris traded me LaMelo Ball in fantasy, so it voids his fandom.
I did. It hurt my heart. Actually.
Let me get my X factor out the way. My X factor is going to be the loving side of Lou Dort. It's going to be if Sion James can, or is it Sion or Sion? I don't want to pronounce it wrong. Sion, okay, because it's not like Zion. I knew that. I'm sorry. Apologies, Hornets fans. Sion James is again a hound defensively. I truly love the way he plays basketball. He looks exactly like Lou Dort out there. He's a stockier figure. He can glide those feet across the floor. He can kind of hang with anybody. He's been really good for them this year. That the fact that they have 3 really good contributing rookies is just a testament to Charles Lee and his development staff. But what James needs to do is bare minimum on offense. Lou Dort going to give you like 2 moonshots in a series, and when he making threes, you know how that goes. You have to bring that similar energy. Sion James, he has to be able to. He's not necessarily shooting the 3 great, but in his spot minutes where he needs to help stretch the floor, because Diabate is not exactly stretching the floor. Kalkbrenner, I don't think has shot a 3 all year. So it's got to come from somewhere at the very least. I would say like my pseudo X factor is those bigs who have been playing a lot better as of recently. Kalkbrenner has been a lot better recently, and Diabate's been a monster on the board. So those are my guys.
Yeah, I like that. Mine is all of them. Mine is Brandon Miller, though. And the reason why I think is because as good as Khan's been, I think Brandon Miller is the real reason for the not real, but one of the biggest reasons for the ascension of the Hornets. He's really taken on that main scorer role to where Khan can ease into a role where he's obviously averaging a big number, but he's not necessarily the focal point. It's still LaMelo, Brandon Miller, I would say. And Brandon Miller's been the best scorer on the team, in my opinion. Hasn't been as efficient as people want, but he's been more efficient in years past. So I think he needs to keep that up for them to get out of the play-in and to make some noise in the real series, because he can get to a point where he starts shot chucking too. He's had some 7 for 25, some 8 for 26s as well, but he just makes a good amount of his threes, so it looks better in counting stats, but his efficiency is going to be the X factor for me, because they're going to need him to be an efficient 20 to 25 point per game scorer if they're going to make any noise in the playoffs. Because like we talked about before, playoffs, everything shrinks down, everything becomes under a microscope more, everything, they become, your focal points are really focused on. And with them, this will be all their first experience. I think him being consistent is going to be huge for them if they're going to make any type of noise.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. Yeah,
No,
some of his shooting performances can be ugly.
I do want to note, I think the Hornets are they're 2.5 games back of that 6 seed where the Sixers stand right now. Look, they're also 4.5 games back of this Toronto Raptors team. Anything can happen with a month and a week out, 5 weeks out from the playoffs starting. If they happen to end the season like 45 and 45 and 38, whatever, 37, they could easily snag the 6th seed. And don't act surprised if they beat the Knicks when they do that.
You have high aspirations. A lot of teams have been told they can go beat the Knicks, and it hasn't happened. I'm just saying. So, hey, let's knock out the Hawks real quick, and then we can get on out of here. Mine for the Hawks was if Tyson Daniels' offense will have any sort of pulse. That's pretty much it for me.
For me, it's if OO is continuing to shoot this 3 ball and be this offensive weapon that he's developed this year, the way he's been.
I think that's valid. Shout out O. Never been a shooter, by the way. Never.
Yeah, it's kind of incredible. Revelation.
I'd love to see the shooting logs at like Chino Hills, because that's when like non-shooters were like really letting it rip, like Ben Simmons and whatnot. But like, I don't know.
They had to complete the circle and just send them to Charlotte, please, for the love of the game.
I don't live far from. I don't live far from Chino Hills.
Eli Scott 10-day.
Lonzo, LiAngelo. Well, LiAngelo's banned from anything sport related, but Lonzo back in the league. LiAngelo doing halftime.
You can't put LiAngelo Ball in like a big dom role, but on the Hornets.
He's gonna rob people, bro.
Perfect. Or here it is. He signs a contract to do every halftime show at home. LeVar wins.
He got like 3 songs in the tank, man. It's
Backyard, not bad. And look, that's perfect for halftime. 9 minutes worth of songs. Halftime only 15 minutes.
LeVar gonna be bouncing around on one foot.
Their mind, man.
I'll be the one losing my mind. That'll be turned.
Nah, LeVar in the Big Dom role would be lit. But
he can't do nothing on the sideline no more. He got 1 foot.
He'll talk you out of doing whatever he was about to do.
Somebody going to test LaMelo. How LeVar could have no limbs.
No,
let somebody there like the little first robot in Big Hero 6, and yeah.
Let somebody do it. Let somebody do a Zaza Pachulia close out on LaMelo Ball. I bet LeVar finds a way to get out there. I bet he finds a way.
That's why you need Eli Scott. Come on, man. That's the Draymond of high school hoops.
I'm into it.
Bingo.
Yeah. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. This was X Factors, but for every Eastern Conference team, obviously we'll get to the Western Conference as well. But from AP New Freezer, coached by Migos, DC Comics, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next week.